one of the mountains that we climbed was, by the way, I hope you don't mind this. Boy, that's going to get obnoxious. But anyway, one of the mountains that we climbed was Mt Rainier. I've had two summits, two summit attempts on it. Now, let me explain to you something that is extremely annoying. If in fact someone attempts a summit, do not tell them, oh, I'm sorry that you failed at this summit attempt. No. Climbing a mountain is not necessarily about getting to the top. Allow me to impart two mantras. One, you're going on a walk. That's it. You're not getting to the top of the mountain. You're going on a walk. All right? Okay, so that's one. And two. What was number two? Just a moment. Oh, I remember now. Sneak in, sneak out. See? Cheetos help so much. Sneak in, sneak out. You are not there to dominate the mountain. You cannot dominate a giant mountain like that because it is huge. It is massive. It will squish you like a bug. Not because it's evil, not because it's good. It's just indifferent. It doesn't care how much resolve you have to get to the top of it. If a weather system comes in, it's going to annihilate you. But that's what I love about Mount Rainier. Even though it's only 14,000 feet. And a lot of people from Colorado are always like, we have a lot of 20,000 footers in Colorado, which is pretty cool. That elevation can be pretty tough. However, Mount Rainier is cool because there are a lot of crevasses, a lot of glaciers kind of coming off of this massive, massive mountain. But also the weather systems can be so unpredictable. As I mentioned earlier with my ultralight backpacking trip around Mount Rainier. 95 miles, 3 days. Coolest thing ever. Well, when you get to the top of Mount Rainier, it's a wild experience because there's a huge bowl in the middle. You expect it to be a peak. No, it's a big bowl because it's a volcano. And the first attempt that we went up, that we attempted to get up to the top, was with a guide service, which was very, very great to use a guide because they cook all your food, they show you the ropes. Oh, they show you the ropes. That's where the phrase comes from. Okay, I understand. So it's very, very handy. And I remember some of those guys were really, really nice, great shape, really cool people. And at one point, I remember one of the people on our party, on our rope team, was falling, and he had fatigue setting in, and he didn't quite yell what you're supposed to yell when you're falling, and that is falling. No matter how big, no matter how small, if you're falling, you yell falling. Because it is imperative that the people on your rope team dig into the snow with their crampons and their ice axe to brace themselves so that they don't drag everybody else down into the crevasse with them. So here's this guy, and he slipped and he fell, and immediately I just dug in. And I could feel my rope just kind of do this short little stretch thing as his weight pulled on it, and it stopped him. And he wasn't dangling in midair, but it was really, really steep. And he was just kind of dangling there, kind of with his back up against the snow. And I remember the word that he said was, "Oh," as if like, "Oh, what an inconvenience this is. What a surprise." And one of the guides just went to town on him. He was just like, "What are you yelling? What are you yelling?" And you're like, falling? Self-arrest! Flipped over, dug in. By that time, he was, of course, rescued. But, oh, man. Yeah, but that's what I love about Mount Rainier. Mountaineering. That should be a sport, Mount Rainiering. Mountaineering. What I love about it is that it combines several elements that some sports don't quite do. Now, to compare it briefly to running a marathon, which is extremely tough, that's one of the more painful experiences I've had in my life. But with that, you can just kind of tell your legs to go and you switch your brain off and you just go to the finish line. Yeah, simple enough, right? Still, it can be quite painful. But with Mount Rainiering, wow, I'm gonna keep using that as a verb. What are you doing tomorrow? Mount Rainiering? What are you doing? I think I'm going to Mount Bakery. No, it doesn't sound as good. So anyway, what's cool about mountaineering is you have not only this physical facet, but also mental. Like you have to stay mentally engaged. Because if you don't, you're going to slip into a crevasse and die. Hey, it's a good reason to stay mentally engaged. And also, there's a technical side to it. So not only do you have to remain aware, but you have to have this technical skill. Because if you don't, then you won't know how to pull someone out of a crevasse. So there you go. Physical, mental, technical. Those three things is what I really like about mountaineering. Pretty cool. The last attempt that I did on Mount Rainier most recently was with some very good friends, and we did actually get to the top. The time before with the guides, we did not get to the top. Not that that's the point. But the weather was really, really bad, whiteout conditions, and you don't want to be hiking in that, especially in early September, because it's late in the season. The sun is out all summer, and at that point, it's opened up all these crevasses, and that's extremely dangerous. So the next time we went was around June, which is much, 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 much more optimal. And I went with good friends, Phil Stewart and Ben Auger, and also Ian Stewart, but we had to leave him at base camp. And I don't think he was feeling so hot. But still, 3 people on a rope team, that's plenty. Up we went early in the morning, but I think there wasn't enough training physically with some of our team because it was, I'll be honest, great guys. I love them to death. I really do. But it's just extremely frustrating when you're hiking along and you feel a tug on your rope. And you're like, oh, that's weird. And so you kind of look behind you, and there is Ben. And he's sitting in the snow just on the side of the trail. Hey, Ben, what you doing? Oh, just got a little tired. Okay, now is not a good time to sit down. The sun is out. We probably should have turned around at that point. We probably really should have. Another example, summititis. Don't try to get to the summit no matter what. But it was getting late in the day. And when it's late in the day, the sun melts the snow. When the snow melts, it opens up crevasses. Crevasses kill. You saw the logic in that. Sun equals death. All right, so we did get to the top. So cool. I got a great jumping photo of me. Well, jumping. Got to do that. And made it all the way back. I was kind of done with the trip at that point. And so once we got back to base camp, I actually called my lovely wife, Liz, and was like, Liz, could you come and pick me up? Because I'm done with this. No offense against the guys, but I was just a little frustrated at that point. And I'm just not pulling any punches here. I was very frustrated. I was like, oh man, they're fatigued. They're driving me crazy. So I'm still very good friends with them, don't worry. But anyway, Liz actually drove, I think it's like 2 hours there, all the way around the mountain. It's a long, long time, especially in certain weather. And she actually showed up with not just herself, which I missed her so much, even though it was like a day or two gone from her, but she showed up with a burger. Dude, you know you have scored an awesome woman when she shows up with a burger and a beer. Oh, man. So I was just like, Liz, I love you forever. So that was the end, and probably the best part of that trip was my burger and my beer at the end. Oh, man, I was just done. But I got to the top of Mount Rainier. Cool mountain. Mountaineering or Mt Rainiering is a great sport, and I'd totally suggest checking it out if you have not already.